I folded you a paper lantern once, from the pages of a book we'd read for months, together late and slow and side by side. Nothing in those evenings left to hide. The lantern held a candle for one night, then burned itself away in its own light. And I've been thinking since that night began, how love burns brightest in the things that can't withstand. Paper lantern glowing low, beautiful in how it goes, burns itself to give the light. Paper lantern, one last night. Paper lantern, light my way through the dark until the day finds us on the other side of everything we tried to hide. Paper lantern, burn for me, burn until we finally see what the light was always for. Paper lantern, nothing more. You carry things that shouldn't have to last. You hold them like the future holds the past, with tenderness you haven't named out loud, with silence that is somehow still so proud. I see it in the way you light the room, without a word, without the need to assume that anyone is watching, anyone sees. You light up everything with the greatest ease. Maybe the most beautiful things burn fast. Maybe nothing luminous is built to last. Maybe that's exactly why we should stop and look at every burning thing as good. The paper lantern doesn't mourn its scent. It burns completely, fully, around the bend of its own short life, and fills the night with every bit of its remaining light. Paper lantern, burn and go. Leave the dark with all your glow. Leave me standing in the trace of light that held this empty space. Yeah. There are places on this earth so flat and wide that nothing you have carried can still hide. The salt flats strip away the usual tricks. The landscape has a clarity that sticks to every memory you bring out there. It crystallizes slowly in the air, until what you remember becomes clean salt lake memory, the sharpest thing I've seen. Salt lake memory, white and clear, everything preserved out here. Nothing rots in all this salt. Salt lake memory, not your fault. the dawn. The sky and land the same, the line was gone between the earth and air. A perfect white that held me in a state between the night and day, between the knowing and the guess, between the grief and something like finesse. I left my heaviest memory there, crystallized in salt and open air. Salt preserves, but also transforms things. The fish becomes something preservation brings to a different form, a different taste. Not the original, but nothing's wasting. The salt lake of memory, everything becomes more concentrated, everything intensifies to its essential self. Salt lake memory, nothing left on the shelf. Beneath the city runs a blue infrastructure of pipes and wires and every kind of texture. A connection every cable lay before we needed it, every trade. Route map below the street we walk, every system below the top of ordinary life. The blue below is what makes everything above it glow. Blue infrastructure, running deep. Blue infrastructure, while we sleep, keeping everything alive. Blue infrastructure, how we survive. Blue infrastructure, cool and low. Blue infrastructure, watch it flow. Initiating the warmth protocol now. A system built for care, for the how, of tending to the people that I love, with something more considered than above. Average effort, something like a plan of warmth, the warmth that goes beyond what can be done by instinct alone. A warmth designed deliberately with care and with a mind. Warmth protocol running now. Warmth protocol, learning how to love with more intention. Warmth protocol, the invention. The warmth protocol is running quietly, steadily humming through every act of care I take, every choice I make, every wake. A call to be more present here. Warmth protocol running clear through every system that I built. Warmth protocol without the guilt. I used to think that warmth was just a feeling, something natural, something born of dealing with people without thinking, without plan. But warmth is also something that a hand deliberately extended can become, when the intention is to overcome the natural distance. Warmth protocol, this warmth made systematic, warmth for all. The protocol is simple at its core. Show up, pay attention, offer more than what the situation seems to need. Plant warmth in advance, like a seed, before the coldness comes, before the space between two people grows to take the place of what could be connection. Run the warmth protocol before you lose the north. Warmth protocol running on through every night and every dawn. A system built for love and for the long. Warmth protocol all night long. These are the quiet hours I've been saving, the ones I pull back from all the craving of the day's noise is constant need. For more from me, these hours are freed from obligation and from being known. These quiet hours are entirely my own. Pull back from the general reserve of time, protected, something I deserve. Quiet hours, mine to keep. Quiet hours, not for sleep. For the music and the low. Quiet hours, watch them go. These are my quiet hours, no one calls. No one knocks upon these particular walls of time. Who knows exactly what is in the yard? Behind the gate, who knows the value of the quiet that protects a different love than the social, than the public kind. The love of being quiet in your own mind, with music and with nothing else required. Just this, the quiet hours I've desired. People think that quiet is an absence, a gap of nothing, a kind of patience for the next loud thing to come along. But quiet hours have their own full song, their own complete vocabulary of sound that only happens when the noise has wound itself down low enough to hear the bass. The quiet hours that hold this quiet space. Quiet hours, hold me still. Quiet hours always will be the hours that I love the most. Quiet hours, the perfect host. Somewhere in the static there's a signal, something clear and honest and original. Beneath the noise of everything they said, beneath the interference in my head, a voice is telling me which way to go. Beneath the static there's a frequency I know is mine, is real, is worth the search. Signal in the static, find the church. Signal in the static coming through. Signal in the static breaking through. All the noise between the real. Signal in the static, what I feel. Signal in the static, clear and true. Breaking through the noise to something new. I've been tuning all my life toward the signal in the static, reward for everyone who keeps on turning. The dial past the static keeps on learning which frequency is real and which is noise. Signal in the static, that's my voice. The radio is trying to spend their careers listening through the cosmic static years of noise before a single signal breaks through the interference before it makes itself known as something from out there, something real and distant in the air. I've been my own astronomer of late. Signal in the static, worth the wait. There is a signal underneath the noise of every life beneath the decoys of what we think we should be feeling without reason. When everything is heightened, brighter, more. When ordinary life feels like a door has opened up to something vast and warm. When the music and the night perform together like a ceremony of everything I've ever called love. Fever season, running hot. Fever season, give it all I've got. Every feeling turn to 11. Fever season, closest thing to heaven. Fever season, take me through every shade of feeling, every hue that a fever brings to everything. Fever season, listen to it sing through the body, through the night, through the night. Fever season, burning right at the temperature of all I feel. Fever season, nothing more real. I've learned to welcome what the fever gives, the clarity of knowing how one lives when everything is stripped of the routine and every feeling burns bright and clean against the dark of ordinary days. The fever season cuts through all the haze of half feeling of the tepid middle ground. Fever season, this is where I'm found. A fever breaks eventually, they say, and leaves you wrung out in the light of day. But cleaner for the burning, somehow more yourself than you were going in before. The fever took you through its own refining, left you on the other side still shining, with the trace of everything it showed. Fever season, everything bestowed. Fever season, burning low. Fever season, watching it go back to ordinary, back to mild. Fever season, burning wild. The music lives inside the space between notes, not just in the sound itself, but in the flows of silence where the meaning gets to breathe, where the body has a moment to receive what just played before the next arrives. The space between notes is where music thrives, at its most honest, at its most complete. Space between notes and the beat. Space between notes, breathing room. Space between notes dispels the gloom of too much sound packed too tight. Space between notes, making room for life. Space between notes is where I live, in the where I belong. Miles Davis built a whole career on what he didn't play, on the clear and deliberate space he left around each note. The emptiness of this, a profound pause that says more than the busiest phrase. I've been learning in my own quiet ways to leave more space, to say less, to allow the silence to complete the song somehow. We fill every silence now with noise, with constant content, with the endless toys of stimulation, afraid of what the space might say, afraid the shut and quiet air might hold the truth. We're not yet ready for uncouth in its directness, so we fill the space between notes and wonder still. Space between notes, let it breathe. Space between notes, let me leave. Room for silence, room for air. Space between notes, always there. The copper light of late October rooms, the low lamp after dark that warmly looms against the window in the blackened glass, a kind of warmth that nothing else surpassed. In all my searching for the right light, the copper light of an ordinary night, at home alone with music and the low hum of something warm, copper glow. Copper light, warm and old. Copper light worth more than gold, in the way it holds the room. Copper light dispelling gloom. Copper light, find me here in the warm and in the clear, amber orange of the late night lamp. Copper light, the perfect clamp on the darkness, keeping back all the sharp and hard and black. With your warm and age glow, copper light, this is all I know. Copper takes its color from its age. The green patina is the copper's wage for years of standing in the open air, of oxidation of the patient wear that gives the Statue of Liberty her hue. I wanna age like copper into true and beautiful patina, want to wear the copper light of years with grace and care. There are no cold colors in the copper family. Everything is warm, everything can be traced back to that particular sun tone, the particular feeling of coming home to something lit in amber, something low, something that the modern lights don't know how to replicate, can't manufacture. The copper light, the warming factor. Copper light stay burning dispersing fears. There's an undertow beneath the ordinary, a current pulling at the temporary arrangements of my days. It pulls below the surface of the plan, the things I know I should be doing toward the low and honest place where all the real things go. And they're tired of pretending to be less than everything, the undertow of yes, undertow of everything I feel, undertow of everything that's real, pulling me below the surface now, undertow, teaching me how. The undertow of everything is here, pulling at the ordinary sheet, weight of what I carry and I keep. The undertow of everything runs deep, below the managed and defined, below the everything is mine. To control, the undertow says no. The undertow of everything, let go. The ocean's undertow is not the wave that's visible and crashing, it's the cave of current running back beneath the foam. The invisible pull toward the home of open water, the return that every breaking wave must earn. I feel it every time the music plays. The undertow of everything always. I've been swimming against the undertow for years, exhausting myself below the surface, trying to stay in place against the current's patient pulling embrace. But now I understand the undertow is not the enemy. It only goes to where the feeling lives, to where the real version of myself waits. The undertow everything, take me everything, take me everything, take me undertow of everything, take me to the place that's waiting to remake me into something truer than before. Undertow of everything and more. Every year I think this is the last warm season, and then the next one comes without a reason to believe it will, and yet it does. The warmth returns and always was going to return, but in the cold I can't quite trust it, can't quite grant the winter that the warmth will come again. I hoard the last warm season. it here. The last warm season, don't let go of the heat before the first real snow, of everything before the cold. The last warm season, worth more than gold. The last warm season, every day is borrowed from the cold. I'll stay inside the warmth until it leaves. The last warm season, before November grieves. We had a last warm season, you and I, a final summer stretching toward the sky, before the cold thing came between our days, before we lost each other in the haze of autumn, of the cooling of the shift. I didn't know to call it the last gift of warmth. I thought the seasons would return. The last warm season, still I learn. Pay attention to the last warm evening, when the temperature is barely leaving summer behind, when it's still warm enough to sit outside and feel the stuff of summer on the air. That's the one to memorize before it's done, before the cold comes settling in to stay. The last warm season slips away. Last warm season, fading slow. Last warm season, watching it go, holding on to every degree. Last warm season, stay with me. Be constant as water, not a stone. Water finds its way, stone stays alone. In its single form, its chosen place. Water moves through every available space and never loses what it is while doing so. It adapts its shape but not its flow. Constant as water, that's the way to move through every kind of day. Constant as water, finding the way. Constant as water, every day. Changing shape, but not the essence. Constant as water, constant presence. Constant as water, moving through every obstacle. Me and you, finding the way around the storm. Constant as water, never alone. In its nature, never lost. Constant as water, whatever the cost of changing form to find a path. Constant as water, the aftermath. I've been trying to be more like water now, less insistent on the single how of getting somewhere, less attached to form, more willing to go around the storm rather than through it, more inclined to find the lower path, the easier kind that water knows without a map to guide. Constant as water, moving with the tide. Water doesn't argue with the mountain, it finds the path around the fountain. Route the lowest viable way, and it will get there, come what may, with exactly the same patience every time. It doesn't need a reason or a rhyme, it just persists, and that persistence carves the canyon that persistence starves. grief has its own particular frequency, a tone that runs through everything I see. Since you have been gone from this address of life, this place, this beautiful mess, I find it in the music, in the low register. I find it in the slow build of a track. At night I feel the frequency of grief, profoundly real. Frequency of grief, low and long. Frequency of grief in every song. Not a bad thing, not the worst. Frequency of grief, the universe. The frequency of grief runs through the night, running through the music and the light of every late hour, every track that pulls the thing I'm missing back into focus, into feel. The frequency of grief is real and beautiful in how it keeps. The frequency of grief, what love reaps. They say that grief is just love with nowhere left to go, and I have felt it there, in the precise place where you used to be. The frequency of everything you gave me, still running at the same register, still looking for the listener. It always had the frequency persist, long after what produced it exists. I've been letting the music tune into the frequency of grief, the residue of love that doesn't have a place to land. I've been letting the bass line understand what I cannot explain in ordinary speech. The frequency of grief that's out of reach of words, but not of music, not of the low and honest register where feelings go. Frequency of grief, play on long after everything is gone, into morning, into day. Frequency of grief, you stay. My life moves in tidal hours, in and out of clarity and of the blurring doubt of what I want and what I have and where the line falls between contentment and despair. But like the tide, it always comes back in. The clarity, the next beginning, after the retreat, after the low. Tidal hours, the ebb and the flow. Tidal hours, going out. Tidal hours, coming back without fail, without exception, without end. Tidal hours, always round the bend. Tidal hours, I am learning you, the pattern of the low and the breakthrough of the high, the rhythm of the give. Tidal hours, this is how I live. Tidal hours, in and hours, always in tune. People read a clock, they know the full cathedral of the tidal hours. When to go, when to rest, when to let the flow do the work, and when to push against the current, when to be most dense with effort, and when just to let the sea carry them. Tidal hours, that's me. I used to fight the tidal nature of my days. I wanted constant high, I wanted always the peak of clarity, the height of knowing. But now I understand the going out is just as necessary as the end, the ebb as valuable as the begin. Again, the tidal hours are the shape of how a life is truly meant to take. Tidal hours, in and out. Tidal hours, what I'm all about. Moving with the moon, moving with the sea. Tidal hours, setting me free. A lumen is the unit of light that flows from a single source, the measure of the glows. We live inside without quite counting them. The lamp, the screen, each Jerusalem of brightness in the ordinary dark, each one its own particular lumen mark. And you have always had your own count, a lumen that I've never been without. Lumen, measuring the glow. Lumen, everything I know about light comes from you. Lumen, bright and true. Lumen, you are bright enough for all the dark, for all the rough and lightless corners of my life. Lumen, cutting through the strife of dimness of the ordinary gray. Lumen, lighting up my day and every night and every low. Lumen, everywhere I go. The architects design for lumen carefully. They measure how the light will fall and see which rooms will feel expansive, which will close in on themselves when the right lumen flows into them or doesn't. All of this, from how we count the light, the genesis of every beautiful space begins with lumen, where the light comes in. I've been measuring the lumen in my life, counting the bright ones, counting through the strife of darker periods, the low lumen days when everything exists inside a haze of not enough light. But the music adds its own particular lumens to the bad and lightless rooms and makes them something more than dark. The music is a lumen and a door. Lumen, add your light to this. Lumen, watch the dark place glow. The night keeps things the day would throw away, the softer versions of ourselves that stay hidden in the light, too raw, too real, too much of what we actually feel to show in the exposed and watch daytime. The night keeps these for us until the climb back to the dark when we can be again the people that the night remembers then. What the night keeps, it keeps well. What the night keeps, only night can tell. The secrets of the people that it holds. What the night keeps, the night unfolds. What the night keeps, I have given it every version of myself that fits. Only in the dark, only past midnight, everything built to last. Only in the night's particular care. What the night keeps, I left it there. The honest and the raw and the true. What the night keeps, me and you. The night is the original confessor, the oldest and the most reliable dresser of wounds, the one who hears without the need to fix, without a doubt that what you bring it is enough. The night receives all kinds of stuff from all kinds of people, and it holds what the night keeps, the night unfolds. I've left things with the night I couldn't carry into morning, things too ordinary for extraordinary daylight to contain, too specific, too particular, a pain or joy. The night keeps both with equal care. The grief and the exquisite keeps them where the music plays and the bass line runs. What the night keeps, everyone. What the night keeps, mine to claim. Every version of my honest name, safe inside the dark until I need. What the night keeps, planted like a seed. Particular door closing somewhere distant that you barely heard. The feeling that exists before a word is a sign to it, the unnamed things that live in the chest that the music brings into presence without naming them. All the unnamed things, the requiem. All the unnamed things, they Space of music when a word can reach all the unnamed things beyond speech. All the unnamed things inside the sound. All the unnamed things that can be found in the bass and in the space between. All the unnamed things that felt the scene, but unsayable, the ones that live below the language. All the things that give themselves to music but resist the name. All the unnamed things, they're all the same. The Portuguese have saudade for the ache of absence. The Germans have firmly for the sake of distance longed for. But my language has no word for half of what the music does to me in certain hours, certain keys. The unnamed things, the unnamed melodies, a feeling that I cannot translate out of music. All the unnamed things, no doubt. I used to try to name everything I felt, to organize the cards that I'd been dealt into a language that I could share. But some things resist the naming, some things where their namelessness is true, is their best form. The unnamed things are closest to the warm and honest core of what it is to feel. All the unnamed things, most real. All the unnamed things, let them be. All the unnamed things, let them free from the need for language. Let them live in music. All the unnamed things give. The architecture of the dusk is built in layers, in the gradient, the silt of light settling toward the dark. Each color in its place, each lingering spark of gold before it's swallowed by the blue. It swallows everything before the true and final dark arrives. I've studied this, the architecture of the dusk, pure bliss. The architecture of dusk, layer by layer. The architecture of dusk, a quiet prayer of color into darkness, into night. The architecture of dusk, the last light. The architecture of dusk is holding everything we've been slowly unfolding into night, into the music's arms. The architecture of dusk, all its charms on full display before the dark completes. The architecture of dusk, where color meets the night and makes the structure of the change. The architecture of dusk, the exchange. Every culture has its ritual at dusk. The call to prayer, the end of work, the busk of music at the corner when the day releases everyone to find their way into the night, into the architecture of transition that the dusk constructs between the two great states of light and alive like this transition, with the same deliberate and clear ambition of the dust that knows exactly what it's doing when it moves from gold to blue to the pursuing dark of night. Each stage considered, each color given its own moment, each layer of the architecture placed with care, with beauty, never haste. The architecture of dusk, my guide. The architecture of dusk is holding everything we've been slowly unfolding into night, into the music's arms. The architecture of dusk, all its charms on full display before the dark completes. The architecture of dusk, where color meets the night and makes a structure of the change. The architecture of dusk, the exchange. The architecture of dusk complete, everything in its place, everything neat. Gold into blue, into the dark architecture of dusk, leaving its mark on everything that comes after. The music, the night, the laughter of the late hours, all of it built on the architecture of dusk. No guilt in the ending, only beginning. Only beginning.